Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is going to be exciting. All right, so we're going to be doing a data analysis project, real life project with real life data set. So are you ready with me? So the project we're going to be doing today is the US border crossing analysis. So if you're with me on this, let's go. So today we are going to be talking about the analysis we did on the US border crossing analysis. Like you already know, my name is Justin. I'm a data analyst. So I want you to follow up on what we are going to do today, not just for following up sake, but for you to learn something out of what we are going to be doing, right? Because the reason for this analysis is to help you be able to have a hands-on on how project is done and how you can be able to present it. Now, as a data analyst, there are a few steps or few phases you need to always know. Number one is the ask phase. In the ask phase, you ask questions about what you are asked to do. Your stakeholder might come to you and ask you, okay, do this, and you don't understand it very well. You go back and ask questions. What do you want to do? What do you want us to do with this one? Ask all those relevant questions that will lead you to understanding better what work or what analysis you are supposed to do. Okay, that's the first one. Then the second one is in the preparation phase. You have to prepare yourself, prepare your mind, prepare the team, and prepare all the tools that is needed for the project, right? And also prepare the data sets, get the data sets wherever it's going to be gotten. Is it from web scraping or from a particular website or from the company's database, right? We have to know where the data is coming from, understand it, then you'll be able to think, okay, which of the tools is okay for this particular job we're going to do. Okay. Then the next one is to process the data. In the processing data, you clean the data, you format them, you remove duplicates, do all the data cleaner manipulations and all that. So after that, you go to analysis. You analyze your data, all right, to get all the insights that are actually needed for the analysis you want to do. Okay. Then after that, you talk about presentation, trying to prepare your presentations, how to present, how to do the visualization. Sorry, you do visualization. How do you visualize it? What are the charts you can use? Which tool do you need to visualize this for proper understanding? All right. Then after that, you talk about reporting and presentation, where you can present to your stakeholders your insights and your recommendation. So all this I've said right now, we have compressed them. We have already done them before now. So with these reports and presentations I'm going to be doing right now, it will usher you into understanding better. And after the whole thing, I'm going to drop my GitHub profile, especially the link to this project, so that you can go in there and get every information. And you can also try it out yourself. The data set I use, the raw data set is there. The clean data set is also there. You can get it for download it and you'll be able to work with it. Okay. All right. So let's proceed with this project right away. Okay. So as a data analyst, the project we have today, just like I said earlier, is about the border crossing analysis for the US. Now in the US, they have two major places. They have two major crossing, right? That people always take. All right. But let's look at the business, the business tax statement we are going to be doing. So what we want to do today is to evaluate the inbound crossing at US, Canada, and US Mexico borders at the port level. Okay, so that means that the major borders we have in US is the Canada and that of the Mexico. Okay, so now this is the executive summary. We understand that this data was prepared by the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, for people crossing the border, and they summarized it, giving us the information about the US, Canada, and the Mexico border ports. And this particular data we use today for this analysis contains data for the trucks moving in, trains, containers, buses, personal vehicle, passengers, and pedestrians moving in into the US from Mexico and also Canada. Okay, so on that note, also the borders of crossing will reflect the number of all this information I just mentioned right now. Okay, so now the major point we are going to look into as we get this analysis forward is to examine the both US and Canada, know what is inside, know why people are crossing into the US through the US Canada border or through the Mexican US Mexico border. Then we'll also determine the border with major crossing and possible reasons why it's like that. Then number three, we know why the media, or which media of crossing that is rampant and best fits. Okay, all right. So once we have actually itemized all these things, that means we have done the first two phases where we talked about the asking of the questions and preparing the data. Okay, so now we are on the preparation again, right? So on the preparation, we'll do the data preparation, cleaning, explorations, and all that. So in this case, we are only using Excel and Power Query to do this analysis for the preparations and cleaning. Okay, so first of all, what we did, we have to check out, look into the information we have, realizing that we have columns, the port name, states, port code, border, date, and all that. We have all of them as the columns in the raw data set. All right. This is what we had before analysis. And on that, we also checked out the nulls. Is there any null? Is there any blank rows? Is there any duplicates? We'll start removing those ones, removing irrelevant nulls and all that, and to get our data set. So once we did that, we now uploaded it to Power Query for proper, cleaning and few analysis we need to do. Okay, exploratory analysis we need to do. So when we uploaded it there, we removed most of the irrelevant columns that we don't need. We removed all of them. So we are left with the port name, state, border, date, measure, and latitude and longitude. Okay. So on that note, also, in the measure column, there are a lot of confusions that are happening there, because I told you that the major data that we'll have is for the train, vehicle, rail, and pedestrians and all that. All right. So and all of them are embedded in the measure. So it's quite confusing. So we had to combine related fields, or I have to combine them together to form just one entity so that we can remove confusion from there. All right. The next thing we did, also formatted the columns based on their suitable data types. Okay. Then also clean the data, removed everything that are not okay, then uploaded it to Tableau. So what it means that the things that we used for this analysis, we used Excel, we used Power Query, and we used Tableau for this. Okay. So that's the first thing we are going to do today. So before I start explaining this, I want to take you back to the data, the dashboard, which we have created. All right. So we had information, but before I show you this, okay, let me show you some of the, based on what you already know. So based on the analysis we did, we got the US border, by states already on the map. We saw it clearly. We now realize that there are more states on the US Canada border compared to the US Mexico border. We also realize that the US Canada border has more activities compared to the US Mexico border. We also realize that one of the states, like North Dakota, is the highest, based on border crossing. We're still going to analyze, we're going to talk about why is it like that very soon. Okay. We also realize that people use trucks. Basically, trucks were on the high side, based on what we are seeing, showing that if a truck is passing through a border, what it means that it's an economic activities. Goods are coming into US, and a lot of good things are coming. So those are the few things we did. But let's go to the dashboard right now so that we can understand it very well. Okay. So in this dashboard, we have on this matrix here, we'll have the border, the state, and we'll also have the measure, just like we said. All right, on the border, we'll have the US, Canada, and US, Mexico border, and the states, we'll have all the states that are available and also there in each border. So they are together. Then in the measure, like I told you before, we'll have to combine some related information to form one. Just like this bus, buses and passengers are in one, pedestrians are there, personal vehicles and passengers are in one, and rail containers are there. Then Trains and passengers are also in one, then trucks are also in one. Okay, so now let's check out based on what we said earlier on. So if we want to see only the US Canada border, we realize that most of the information we have here, all right, you see, Alaska is there as a border. We have many of them just within the Canada border. And we also found that based on research that we've done, that trucks are on the high side in the movement, right? Trucks are more, followed by personal vehicles and transportations and all that. We are going to also, put up those insights. So based on what we saw, as we are seeing buses, personal vehicles, trains, what it means that people are actually traveling, and these people are people who might be traveling on their own or going for some things, maybe business or anything. They are going for vacations, relocations, and all that. Then rail containers are ones that carry goods, right? Then pedestrians are also people who just move with leg, crossing. So we realize also that North Dakota has more activities compared to every other state within the US Canada border. So if you check through the US Mexico border, you also realize that Texas has the highest activities, in the US Mexico border, while New Mexico was actually following up. Then, based on what we saw earlier, we saw that trucks were also leading the game. Okay, so that's a few things that we want to share here. So to drive home the point, let's click on this, go to the state and click on Texas so that we can understand very well. See where Texas is, right? Just close to Mexico and US. And when you look at it very critically, you find out that more trucks are actually moving in compared to, personal vehicles, buses, trains, rails, and pedestrians. Okay. So trucks are telling us that it's more of, business movement that we're having. All right. So let's go to findings, things that we found as we were doing this project. Things that we found as we are doing this project. Number one, one of the major findings is that there were more ports within the US border compared to US Canada border compared to US Mexico border, indicating more movement and activities within the US Canada border, right? So what it means is that there are more activities, there are more movement, there are more economic activities moving on and all that within that area. So also realize that generally truck border movement was found to be on the high side in both the US Canada and the US Mexico border, indicating that huge of economic activities are actually happening within US and Canada, and then US and Mexico. Okay. Then we also realize that people mainly cross the border using their personal cars, that ordinary people. They cross with their personal vehicles, they cross with the buses, and they also cross with trains. And there are possible things that they go for. They might be going for vacations or recreations or relocations or even education or work, while pedestrians are also crossing, moving across the border also. Then the fourth one is on the US Canada border. North Dakota has the highest border activity, just like I said earlier, compared to Idaho, while which is just the lowest activity, right? So when you compare it with the US Mexico border, you realize that Texas has the highest activities compared to the New Mexico border, which is actually the lowest. All right. So these are our findings. And when we found out this, we started making some research on how to understand what is happening here, knowing fully well that North Dakota has more activities, more business movement, more people movement, more money coming in, right? So in that case, what do we recommend? We recommend that people, will need to abolish pedestrian crossing at this moment, because we are not, the security of life and property are not guaranteed in those areas. Because if there is security, guaranteed, we can be able to say, okay, fine, let's take it in. So instead of just leaving people to cross the border just like that, why don't we subsidize the transportation rates, the transportation cost, and help everyone to utilize the means of transportation provided to them by the government. Okay, so once we reduce the transportation cost, people can be able to move even without their cars. They can use train, they can use rail, they can use buses to be able to make their movements. And by so doing, they're going to create more money for the government. All right, more money can be made, through the central transportation system. Then the third one is more business activities and investment and development should happen mostly in the US-Canada border to increase revenue, because major activities are happening there. So the government and the parastatals and everybody, investors, should look into those areas and invest more compared to what they invest in Mexico. All right. So these are the few findings we got from this analysis. All right. So I would love you to also do your own analysis and put up here. Give us the video, watch. If you have any comments or any comments or anything, put it on the comment section. We're going to be able to take care of it. But with this, we recommend generally that people can easily use the facilities that have been given to them by the government to move, to save them time, to save them money, and to save them of any accident or any issues. Why trucks, should be increased so that more business activities can go on in those areas. If you followed this very well and you love what you saw, all you've got to do is to make sure you subscribe to this channel and be able to put on your bell icon to always participate in what we are doing, and you are going to learn a lot from us. Okay, so that's it. See you in the next project.